I think it's about understanding their aim and what impact they want to have with their business. And by that I don't just mean on the effect of their business, so whatever it is it's delivering on society, but also the way they run their business and making sure that they're having a positive impact on everyone that comes into contact with it, whether it be the people working in the organisation or their suppliers, their clients, and realising the broader effect that they can have with their business. So often we just think about the client and nothing else, but actually we have far more influence than we realise as humans. And I think if entrepreneurs can remember that, then it will help them with their business. The next thing is about being genuine, honest, authentic. So in terms of leaders, that means at times you need to be quite vulnerable towards your teams. And so what that can mean is getting rid of that mask that says, I'm the perfect, I've got all the solutions and everything's just fine. I think if you can be honest with them and truthful with them and show them that stuff isn't always fine, the situations can be quite hard at times, but that you're willing to make the best of things, and with their support you believe you can do it, then you'll pull teams along with you. I think we're all born of the same weight, and that weight can be made up by our physical ability, our intelligence and our emotional ability. And so all of those things together, we're all born and they weigh the same, but we might have them in different ratios. And what we can do is we've all got the ability to grow them all if we want. What do you need to do that? I think that's what comes down to inspiration, and it's finding out what inspires people and makes them want to be the best version of themselves. And when that happens, that's when I think great leaders start to develop. And people will say, well, why isn't everyone a leader? I think it's about discovering that inspiration, that thing that makes you so passionate that you want to do it. The biggest mistake that I see in leadership is when leaders or people become so obsessed with showing their superiors or showing the outside world how good they are, that they forget to actually concentrate properly on their own performance, and they forget to concentrate on their teams. And when that happens, actually things start to go wrong. But you do see people who they just spend their whole time, if you like, on a PR campaign in order to try and get promoted, rather than just concentrating on doing a really good job. Unfortunately, people will always be disappointed. And I often talk about the idea that to sleep at night is your own conscience that needs to be clear, no one else's. And I think there will be times when people don't understand why you've done certain things, why you've made certain decisions. And when that happens, you need to think about the way you're communicating those things and those decisions. But the reality is you can't please everyone all the time. And so there's a phrase used in the military quite a lot, which is leadership isn't a popularity contest. But I always used to caveat it by saying, yeah, but people, if you're an unpopular person, people won't really follow you. They won't give their all to you. And through the work I've done, what I've discovered, or the belief I've developed, is leadership absolutely is a popularity contest, but decision making is not. And the reason behind that is a popular leader can make an unpopular decision, but they will be trusted that although it's unpopular, it's the right decision, and people will still follow them anyway. Whereas an unpopular leader, they might be making the right decision, but if they're unpopular, then people are unlikely to still follow them and give them their all. So I think you just need to accept that at times people will be disappointed, but if you know you're doing the right thing the majority of the time, people will follow you and they'll trust you and they'll get over that disappointment. At times it will be teaching, but it's also about empowering and giving your team space to grow. And that can be a risky business at times, because they will make mistakes because they're human and that's what happens. And as a leader, you've got to recognise that risk and take responsibility for it. And so at times you will put a safety net in place, but you've got to give them enough rope. Do you use the term enough rope to hang themselves? But you've got to give people some rope so that they can experiment and they can learn and they can grow. But you put a safety net around them, which is you taking responsibility for that. So if you can take the time, take the risk to teach, coach, and develop your team, then they will become leaders. And what that does is the more leadership they're showing, the less involved you need to be in the detail of the running of projects. And at that point you can start to lift off and take a bigger strategic overview on what your team is doing. And that's when teams really start to perform at a higher level.